The Open Government Partnership (OGP) is a global platform that promotes transparency, accountability, and citizen participation in governance, which the last administration signed up for. Just like the federal government, actually a couple of states have also signed up and have been receiving support along with the federal government from the Partnership for Agile Governance and Climate Engagement PACE. Government and the civil society have been working to strengthen governance around open budget, climate action, and inclusive service delivery. As Nigeria transits into phase 4, what are the lessons and lapses? And can the nation do better? We'll be answering these questions and more in the course of the program. Of course, my name is Leah today. You're welcome. So we start the business of the day from the trends table. Nigeria joined the world to celebrate the Open Government Partnership (OGP) Week as it begins drafting the 4th National Action Plan 2025 to 2029. The Partnership for Agile Governance and Climate Engagement PACE, a UK international development funded program managed by DAI, has played a pivotal role in sustaining Nigeria's OGP reforms.
We have published online and in the newspaper calling for Nigerians as a call to national duty to tell us what they want to see in the plan, what they want OGP to achieve between the next 4 years, 2025 to 2029.
Even the Open Budget Index, Nigeria's ranking increased by 24 points. There was a leap because of OGP's involvement in improving participation in the budget process.
Everything about what our leaders should use now should be locally made, locally driven, locally manufactured. That's the first place, because if you're leading, you should lead by example.
The greatest challenge around all of these issues of governance that we have in the country is that citizens don't understand that they need to demand for accountability so that it can be given.
Strengthening mechanisms that will ensure that citizens can be able to access public documents within the time frame of the law, of the Freedom of Information Law, which says within 7 days citizens should be able to access information that are seen as public information.
The Monetary Policy Committee (MPC) of the Central Bank of Nigeria has retained the monetary policy rate at 27.5%. Announcing the decision, CBN Governor Leah said the committee was unanimous in its decision and the pause would enable members to better understand near-term developments in the economy. He admitted that underlying inflationary pressures behind the decision to pause the hikes are chiefly driven by high electricity prices, persistent foreign exchange demand pressure, and other legacy structural factors. Kadiso warned that the unpleasant recent decline in crude oil prices and uncertainties associated with U.S. trade policy would present new challenges for fiscal receipts and budget implementation. The federal government has inaugurated the new board of directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria (AMCON), marking a renewed phase in the corporation's mandate to stabilize the financial sector, enhance assets recovery, and prepare for an orderly institutional wind-down. Inaugurating the board, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, described AMCON's new direction as critical to restoring investor confidence, unlocking value from non-performing assets, and supporting macroeconomic reforms that encourage private sector growth. The newly appointed board, chaired by Dr. Balabello, brings together seasoned professionals with a clear charge to improve corporate governance, accelerate the recovery of distressed assets, and design a credible time-bound exit strategy in line with global best practices. The African Exporting Food Bank, Afreximbank, has released the consolidated financial statements of the bank and its subsidiaries for the first quarter of 2025, indicating satisfactory financial performance, meeting expectations with solid profitability, strengthened liquidity, and a resilient capital base. Afreximbank, in a statement, said the performance provides a springboard for the bank to continue playing its pivotal role of advancing the aspirations of Africa and the Caribbean for economic transformation and sustainable development in the months and years ahead. Net interest income grew by 4.53% and total assets 6.4% compared to the previous year, driven by growth in interest-earning assets, complemented by effective management of borrowing costs, helping the bank to cushion the marginal decline in total interest incomes due to softening benchmark rates. Next is our policy conversation, an open government partnership as Nigeria prepares the fourth National Action Plan, NAP4. The Open Government Partnership, OGP, is a global platform of 75 countries that brings together government reformers and civil society to promote transparency, empower citizens, fight corruption, and harness new technologies to strengthen governance. Nigeria has been a member of the OGP since the year 2016 and is currently preparing its fourth National Action Plan, NAP4, which will guide national commitments to openness and accountability from this year all the way through 2029. Dr. Umaru Abu is a seasoned governance expert with 25 years experience in public policy and strategy, partnership management, intergovernmental relations, communications, knowledge management, performance management, and delivery. He is the federal team lead at FCDO PACE and brings a wealth of expertise in advocacy and so much more. It's nice to have you join me, Doctor, for this conversation.
Thank you very much, Leah. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'd like to start by asking you really to trace from the year 2016 till now, how has the journey fared? How has Nigeria performed when we're talking reforms in this context of the OGP?
Well, it's been quite a challenging journey. First and foremost, there was a lot of enthusiasm upon the assumption of office of the then President Muhammadu Buhari, who himself is seen as a champion of accountability, so to speak. And based on his instruction, Nigeria joined the global OGP family to advance and the issues of accountability and open governance, and to which Nigeria had signed up to. And being part of such an international body then meant that there are a lot of things that needed to be done. And over those years, Nigeria has gone through, since 2016, through 3 iterations of its action plan. The first, the second, the third, and we're on to the 4th now. And in all of that, some progress has been made. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that it was a fantastic ride, no. The challenge of accountability within our context still remains. But of course, the advocacy and the pressure enabled by citizens and structures like the OGP is still doing its bit. And we hope that things will get better.
So how would you rate the performance of citizens in the light of all this?
The advent of the social media, even though it comes with its own challenges because of its own regulated nature, it has also played a role, given that the average citizens now, sees himself as an advocate for good governance. And so the use of the social media to draw the attention of government where things are going wrong and things are not done the proper way and in line with sometimes its own commitment that it made to the citizens and the manifesto, And so on the general scale, the citizens' participation in governance, so to speak, uninvited though, it's high using the social media platform. However, the government also, through OGP, for instance, has made things also in a structured way. For instance, before the budgeting process in itself, which I have also been part of working with others and leading the team that has helped in supporting the government to ensure that they open up the doors for citizens to be part and parcel of the process from the budget preparation stage up to when it gets to the National Assembly. And also the National Assembly, of course, over time, have gradually also accepted that, for this process to make sense, and they have to open their doors and open, so that citizens will come in, have a conversation, to put forth their needs, and then also review what has been done and see the extent to which it has met the aspirations of Nigerian citizens. So I think it's still a journey, but I am excited particularly that citizens now are more aware and more interested in governance issues, realizing that everything that they do, everything that government does affects them. And so the government on their own part as well are recognizing that the citizens have a critical role to play in the governance process. And so that joint partnership has to take place. They are, what's the plan for them? What's their own desire anyway in the first instance? You come into government, you make commitments and promises that you're going to better their lives. And so for that to happen, you have to work hand in hand with them. And if you don't, you will just live in a bubble, surrounded by politicians who will tell you as a leader what you want to hear. And so, but that realization is there. The legislature on their own part are doing their bit. The president, the current president himself, is also open. Is always, from what I know, is always also open to hearing what the citizens are saying. But again, the challenge of access still remains, not as much as the citizens will want it.
So we're now in phase 4, rather going into phase 4. What are the expectations, particularly regarding accountability and transparency, which have been the issues around these conversations over the years?
Now, in this next phase of the fourth National Action Plan, our expectation is that all the lessons that have been learned will bear fruits in NAP4, such that all the commitment areas will see a better process of co-creation between government and citizens. All the various commitment areas will for it to come into full effect, such that government will work with the OGP to ensure that its processes become more transparent, particularly core issues around procurement, for instance, and the extent to which that leads to opportunities for small and medium scale enterprises and all of that. I mean, of recent times with the coming of the new DG of BPP, they've been making some right moves, and to the extent to which that bears fruit is what we will be looking out for. For instance, we're reverting back to the old days where contracts will be published, from all MDAs. That's the expectation based on the new circular that was sent out, and also the threshold for contracts and all of that has been increased and then managed in such a way that the Ministerial Tenders Board and the MDA Tenders Board will play a much more bigger role, and so that the Federal Executive Council will be allowed to actually focus on policy issues. So that's another bit which we're hoping that the NAP4 will address. It goes on and on, there are various, even around climate, that's another area, although climate financing in this instance, where we are now is seeing how the subnationals particularly will gain access to the various opportunities in relation to climate financing that is out there. And so for me, NAP4 represents an opportunity to bring to fore the lessons of the last 3 action plans and work closely with governments to see that accountability takes the center stage and government resources are deployed more transparently to ensure improved service delivery for Nigerian citizens.
What is the role of PACE in the midst of all this?
Well, first of all, it's a FCDO-funded program, which is focused on supporting government to put together and improve, better its governance system, so to speak. And so in strengthening systems and processes that will lead to improved service delivery. And embedded in that are issues of transparency and accountability. And there's another bit around climate as well. In effect, it's addressing critical governance issues around Nigeria's climate response. That's one. But at the same time, supporting the government, both at the federal and in our focal states of Kaduna, Kano, and Jigawa, to ensure that we support the government to strengthen its governance systems, largely, to ensure improvement in service delivery. Part of that is why we are supporting the Open Government Partnership, which is an aggregation of all civil society groups, so to speak, represented under that platform. And within that platform, you will see civil society groups that cover every sector, from health, education, the extractive industry, and all of that. And so ensuring that in their various corners, there is the support government, to deliver on, transparently anyway, on their mandates, but also use that opportunity to advocate for transparency and accountability in their mandates, so to speak, in ensuring that the services that they're expected to deliver in line with their mandates are done in a transparent and accountable manner that will enable participation of ordinary citizens. Small and medium-scale businesses, for instance, should be given free opportunity. You don't need to know someone to be able to access, opportunities in terms of maybe procurement or anything that is available within the agencies.
You've been part of this for a while. How would you rate the performance of the federal government in terms of keeping its books open and meeting up with these set of obligations?
It's a tough one. Honestly, I think government listens to some degree. There's a lot of pressure, like I mentioned, like I said earlier on, because of the advent of the social media. Now, government officials are much more careful because, every Nigerian citizen is more or less a journalist. He goes about with his camera, you do anything funny, they capture it and put it, and no one wants those kinds of embarrassment. And also, there are processes in place. For instance, the government has the Central Results and Delivery Unit that is headed by Hajia Hadiza Bala Usman, that is managing the performance of all the ministers in terms of the deliverables that have been assigned by the president. Now, within that framework, there's what they call the Presidential Delivery Tracker, which allows citizens to, within 2-kilometer radius within their area, to access and post whatever they want to post. If they say there's a project, within your area, and government puts out information and say, we're doing this is where we are. As a citizen, you can go in there, check whether the 20% that they said that they've done is actually accurate, or if they say they've completed the project. Take pictures, post it on, and then it directly goes to the CRDCU, where they can put together reports for the president's attention. And that's done on a quarterly basis. And so government on its own part is doing its own bit. But OGP then represents the opportunity that citizens can come together in a very structured manner to engage with government. One, to co-create things like the budget and all of that, and also even, ensure that things that matter to citizens is put in the budget in the first instance. And then after, ensure that they monitor the implementation of those projects and report periodically, to put the state or do an assessment of where things are in relation to the implementation of the budget. So the various commitments in NAP 4, that's what they will set out to do. In the past, the OGP, puts together the action plan. Somehow it deviates from what government wants to do. And so learning from that, this going into NAP 4, they'll say, okay, there's a renewed hope and agenda of the current administration. And there's an 8 priority agenda. And so once you look at that, you put it together, whatever monitoring that you want to do, let it be within the framework of what government has said it intends to do. And so you're holding them accountable courtesy of the various commitment areas in the OGP and National Action Plan.
Citizens need to be more aware of these developments to enable them participate more.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
making this observation because I actually do not think that a lot of citizens know that they can go to the platform and
precisely
say
that's one point. Yes, there needs to be more awareness around those things, and I mean, talking to you here today is an opportunity to even speak about that, and it will create another level of awareness that citizens, there is a platform upon which they can go and register formally their complaints around the performance of their ministers, so to speak.
some of these operations are in silos because they just remain in offices. Now you're deciding, for me as a citizen, in your office without my input, and you're putting in place a structure or a facility. It might not be what I want or what I need.
Yes.
And I do not know where it is coming from. And in most cases, it does not have any impact on me. And so we're budgeting, we're spending on things that don't give us that value for money. At the end of the day, that we need to have a lot more of these conversations. And in fact, no one asks the students or the kids what they really want.
Ministries, departments, and agencies are expected to have what you may refer to as a town hall meeting or stakeholder engagement, so that you can factor the needs of the people, so that you don't just budget something that is not aligned to the needs of the people. Now, the extent to which they follow that to the latter is a different kettle of fish. And so that is why OGP as a platform and even civil society groups exist to ensure and advocate that government follows, the proper structure that has been put in place. Now, we haven't gotten there yet. Has there been progress? I'll tell you yes. Because the government has opened its doors, engagement happens, and that leads to citizens' needs captured to a decent degree. Now, don't also forget that the National Assembly, by the way it is structured, it is expected that within their own constituencies as well, they will do their own town hall meetings, bring some of the issues that bother their citizens to the table. And so that once the budget goes to the National Assembly, the conversations will extend to the point where, as much as resources can enable, it will also capture the interest of those people. And so for me, what I would say is that everyone should play their part. The challenge, again, of course, remains resource constraints. There's no doubt about that. However, the systems that we have in place is good enough to guarantee that, but there has to be much more advocacy, deeper engagement with the powers that be. The civil society and the OGP must rise up to the occasion to engage, in a very strategic manner. But again, there has to be, even on the part of government, that is creating such accountability platforms like the Presidential Delivery Tracker that I talked about. They have to build awareness around that so that citizens themselves will know that from their phone, they can be part of the governance process.
Dr. I must sincerely thank you for making our time for this conversation and for sharing your thoughts with me.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
We move on to our education segment, Simplify This, and from there, as always, we take you to the local commodities market. For more on rates from markets across the country, do well to log on to our sister website. It is www.marketnigeriatv.com. We have all the details and more there for you. Until we come your way again, same time next week, don't forget, you can always go to our YouTube channel. It is at Saban Media Services. You can leave your comments, questions, and suggestions because we value your feedback to help us serve you better. The duty of building a working Nigeria lies in the hands of all citizens. So play your part. God bless Nigeria.